to day 30 of my tutorial series, and this is nearing the end of this tutorial series, so I'll be starting to wrap things up, finishing off the food mixer. We've got a lot to do today, so try to take in all of the information. Before we go any further, I want to do some housekeeping. If you join me this far into the tutorial series, please refer to my website www.andrewb3d.com. Halfway down presents my first 4 videos, more like introduction, how to, the overview, how to build, the pepper grinder, the unwrapping of the pepper grinder itself. For more advanced tutorials, please refer to my tutorials tab. And then if you want to contact me, either for critiquing or advice, or if your studio is requiring a 3D artist, please contact me on my email address a.boo3d@outlook.com. Alternatively, you can follow me on Twitter @andrewb3d. So now we've done the introduction, the housekeeping, we'll go into the scene. Now, this is a restaurant scene I've been working on. Since we left it, I have made a few changes on this food dispenser. I've introduced like a drink tube. This machine in real life has a tube that dispenses the Coke, or fizzy drink. So I created that. Very high poly. Also, another thing what I've been doing, I'm starting to organize my project overview. So if you go to the editor, window, outliner, this is all my groups. Now I'm starting to rearrange this, rename it, do a proper naming convention. You should do it from the start, but I like to do it halfway through, work out my scene first, then do the naming convention and stuff like that. But when you go into the drinks machine, just select it, and it's highlighted in the outliner. Reason being, even though there's 2 components, the reason being about all of them are selected is because the grouping. This is to do with hierarchy. So the actual tube is the lower heart, like a child, the lowest child. Then I put the hierarchy as the sphere. This is where they store like the electronics, I imagine, and stuff like that. And then you have the actual machine. And I start doing this process to the seating area. As you can see here, stool table number 1. I introduced all my stools as the children and the table as the hierarchy. So when I select the table, it selects them all. That's a good process to do, because if you just need to move that entire section, you can just select the table and it moves the children with it, instead of individually moving each one by itself. And I'm starting to do it on the seating area here. Now, because the seats, as you can see, I've done the same process in this seating area. So the 2 chairs are the children to the table. Because they are the children, and it inherits the transforms and all the attributes that the parent has. So when you select the table, it selects them as well. That's why it's good to always have a children and parent hierarchies kind of system. A common kind of thing you will see this kind of behavior is when you're dealing with a character. The head would be the child's the body. The body would be, in sense, the group headline, the main hierarchy, the main parent. So the arms can go with the body, and the head will go with the body as well. So when you move the body, the whole lot will move with the character. That's how the hierarchy system should work. So now last time we was working on this food mixer. As I remember, I would topologized it and then create this lip here using the Boolean tool. So now when we rotate it up and down like so, it can freely move around like so because it's going to be pivoted here. So now when we get into the reference, I don't download it because it takes a lot of memory if you store every single image reference. So I like to just search for it. So we will be working on the curves, working on this system here, and then start working on this bit here, the actual bowl, which I'll be starting now. To start this, it's best to isolate it first. If you can isolate it, then you're not going to get interference with the scene. I'm going to pull this reference picture to one side because it's still needed. So now, what I need to do, before I move on, there's one thing I did forgot to mention. As you can see all of the edge loops and edge loops of the scene. To enable that, you click this button here. This is the this button here enables it, the wireframe on shader. So this is just the wireframe shaded. If you turn it off, it turns off the wireframe. When you have a complex scene like this, it's useful to see the wireframe, so keep that in mind. So isolate it. As you can see, this is dark. That's because of the if I remember rightly, we took away the actual inside, so the only thing we got left is the shell. So this is kind of like faking it, because we got this lip here. It's faking like the thickness of it, so it looks like it's thick, but it's not, because what you're actually seeing is just the outside material, which is useful, which is needed. So when using the reference, we need to cut this up. So first of all, insert edge loop, multi-edge loop, and I'm turning this to 6. Start with 6. It'll divide it 6 equally. As you can see, it's not to figure things out. Naming the isolation tool, just click on it and re-click it again. Sorry, go to object mode. Go to object mode, then we isolate it, and you got this. So some people use different kind of procedures, processes to edit this, to manipulate it. Some people use the edge loops. I use the 30s. It's 30s. So I can't pronounce that word. I do apologise, but yeah, I use the 30s settings, so it uses the point rather than the edge. Sometimes that's better to do it that way. So as you look on the reference, it comes down, then it starts to bulge in, then bulge out. Now you have this bit here, this rim here. I'll discuss that after we model this, but first of all, you select it right from there. Now as you can see, when we select it went dark. That's a little bug with Maya, so do take note on that. That's a little bug with Maya, so do be careful. Personally, I don't know why it's doing it, but anyway, from there you start cut into it. You can do it by edge loops as well, like so, but sometimes you can miss things out. so when you go to the point you can select it. Sometimes when you have bugs like that, sometimes it's best to select them individually. I know it takes a little time, I know, but sometimes that is what it is, and until you can solve the bug or Alt disk fix the bug, perhaps it's better if I delete all history, see if that corrects it. No. See, sometimes basic tips don't work. To be honest with you, I never occurred this type of bug before, so I will be submitting a bug request to Alt disk, try and solve it. Now, as you can see, just by decreasing the size, the scale of those edge loops, you're starting to carve into a bowl. As again, when you select, be careful not to select upper points. As you can see, you can get a model selecting it. That's where this comes into handy. Again, you can select each one on its individual or graphic view, so you can select it on using this process. So sometimes it's easier to select it a whole edge loop this way. So looking on the edge loop, I do apologise, I accidentally clicked on a different program. I didn't mean to do that, I do apologise. So from here on out, it's about changing the geometry, the shape of it, and editing it, like so. This edge loop here is higher, so increase it, like so. And then just shaping the bowl like so until you got a desired shape. Now we don't need those edge loops. The top one, increase it like so. Yeah, perfect. Now, as you saw on the picture, this has a handle. Some mixing bowls don't have handles, as you can see here. I'm not going to do mine as a handle, but that's my personal preference. This is my design, so I don't want my design to have a handle. It's going to be one of these mixing bowls that you can just buy from Tesco's or Asda's, like a supermarket, and then just attach it. Just an everyday one. Now, what I'm going to do to increase the catch of the light, I'm going to bevel these two edge loops here, this edge loop here. First of all, pull up a bit, there you go. and this edge loop here to catch the light. Turn this to 1 and decrease it. As you can see, the bevel didn't work on here. That's because it's just one edge. It's an open edge, so this edge is infinite where these ain't. So you can change it by extruding it outwards. Extruding outwards, like so. Then pulling it downwards, like so. By doing that, you know, you're using the geometry to catch the light. This is what you do in 3D design, you know. If you want a hard edge, you've got to capture the light. You know, the point, a sharp point will capture light. So when you turn off this edge loop, the edge, the wireframe, you can see the light is now catching this rim here. And the same underneath. When you pull this down to a surface, because light can't catch this area here, this is more darker, simulating a more hard edge. Same on this point here. Like so. This is what you do when you. This is what 3D design is all about, because the geometry is just that. It's just geometry, you know. It's just a surface. But to define a really good surface, it's all about the light and catching the light and how the light bounces off that, creating a subscattered surface. So now, with this, I'm determined to increase the height of this. So using faces, select all faces like so. Increase the height of it. And pull out just a fraction. There you are. No, that's too low still. What I'll do, I'll use these edge loops like so. Pull them up a bit. There you are. Perfect. So now I'm going to model this top bit here. Now, as you can see, it is more of a spherical object. So, bearing that in mind, I'm going to select this edge here, deselect this. Be careful not to select edge loops that you don't want. Select this edge here, this one here, this one here, this edge loop here, here, and here, because these are going to be rounded. I'm going to select this edge loop here, as well as, so basically all the bordered edges like so. and then use some bevel to bevel it, like so. We're going to increase the segments to 3 or 4, and fraction we're going to increase to about 2. As you can see, it's starting to take the shape of the food mixer. So I'm going to leave this here because it's got a good curve going on. To get this one going, all we need to do is insert an edge loop. Of 1. Then then isolate it using the 30 select tool. Select the center. Make sure you select the center. Now when you keep having that selected, that's because down here we have that primary, defaulted set. We can go to the arrow and it'll deselect, or click W and open you to the actual move tools. So then go back to vertices and then select that entire edge loop. Now we don't need these edges, so deselect them. Sometimes it's better to reselect it from a different angle, like there, but making sure you deselect the ones that you don't necessarily need, like so. You're probably thinking, this is spherical, a cylinder as well. Why aren't you turning it like that? The reason I'm not, it's because this is going to be a different rate to these. So it's better not to do it with it, but separately. You'll see where I'm coming from when I start working on it. So now we've got all that edge selected. I'm going to deselect that. There you go. And pull it up. As you can see, it's moving these out. This is where you're going to select this edge loop from here and pull it inwards. Inwards and upwards. There. Perfect. Now as you can see, a lot of the geometry has been knocked out. So you can go back in and retopologize it like so. There. There. And this is what you do. Again, this has been knocked out, so we introduced the topology here as well. You can take these away like so. As you noticed, a lot has been altered around here as well. The best way to solve this is to delete it all. just delete it all, because then you can go back into it and fix it. This is a little tip that my tutor told me. If you've got a lot of problem in a particular area, just delete the problem and then append it using the pen tool. He said you'll find that sometimes it can be a better solution than trying to work out how to fix it and stuff like that. With this instance here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do what's called target weld. So now I can target weld this to this point. Just target weld it. This is like a 3D Max tool that Maya has introduced into Maya. It's where you can, drag and pull vertices to a point, like so. It is very useful to use as a tool. So now we come to this bit here. This is where we can append it. Like so. As you can see, it quickly solved a very big problem. So now it's all to do with fixing the topology, and very quickly we solved a really bad problem. Remember, we got the component selected, which makes it easier to manipulate the vertices. Do remember to manipulate the vertices in all directions, which, as you can see, when it looks like it's correct but it's not, it's because you're not viewing it in all directions. Yeah. Pull this like so. Yeah. With that selected, go to the normals, mesh display, soften edge, so you can get a proper feel into it. So once we've solved this problem, I'll end this tutorial. So this shouldn't take too long. Like so. There you are. That's really good now. Now since we got the advanced shape sorted, I'm going to end it here. Tomorrow's tutorial, I'll be working on fixing areas like this, doing the risk, showing you how you can do the risk. Completing this, then adding the buttons, the dials, and then UV map it. So thank you for watching me today. Hope you learnt a lot. Join me tomorrow.